In the aftermath of the heated Miyagi gubernatorial election, the political atmosphere inside the Liberal Democratic Party's local branch has grown increasingly tense. A storm of debate has begun to swirl around one man, former upper house member Masamune Wada, whose actions have divided opinions within the ruling party's ranks. On the 27th, the LDP's Miyagi Prefectural Federation convened an emergency meeting in Sendai, where discussions about possible disciplinary measures against Wada began to take shape. It was there that LDP Tax System Committee Chair and Prefectural Federation head Itsunori Onodera stepped forward to speak to the press. His words carried weight, and they revealed what many within the organization had been whispering for days. The leadership is now considering how to deal with Wada's decision to cooperate with another political force during the recent election. The election itself had drawn national attention. Governor Yoshihiro Murai, an independent candidate supported by a wide coalition that included many local LDP members, had sought a record-tying sixth term in office. Opposing him was Masamune Wada, a man who had once held a seat in the upper house and was known for his articulate voice and bold positions. But what caught everyone's eye wasn't only his candidacy, it was the alliance he formed. Wada, still officially belonging to the Liberal Democratic Party, had joined hands with the emerging Sanseido Party, a movement that has been gaining ground through its populist and reformist messages. To many inside the LDP, that move felt like crossing a line. Wada's decision to cooperate with Sanseido was defended by his supporters as an act of political courage. They argued that Miyagi needed a new voice, a different style of leadership that could speak more directly to citizens disillusioned with traditional politics. But for others within the party, the move represented disloyalty. The Prefectural Federation had already committed its backing to Murai, who had served the region for years and maintained close ties with national leadership. In their eyes, Wada's campaign amounted to challenging his own political home. When the ballots were counted, the results told a complex story. Murai emerged victorious, winning an unprecedented sixth term as governor. Yet, in the urban center of Sendai, Wada's performance turned heads. He actually outpolled Murai within the city itself. That outcome suggested that Wada's message had resonated with younger voters and urban professionals frustrated with the status quo. It wasn't a victory on paper, but it was a moral win of sorts, a demonstration that his appeal had real strength. Still, politics rarely leaves room for nuance. Inside the LDP, frustration began to simmer. At the Prefectural Federation meeting on the 27th, several local legislators stood up to express their anger. They said that by aligning with Sanseido and agreeing on shared policies, Wada had betrayed the trust of the party. Some voices went further, calling his cooperation a direct challenge to party unity. One senior figure was quoted as saying, "Ordinarily, someone who takes such a step should resign from the party on their own." The sense of betrayal wasn't merely procedural, it was emotional. Many of these lawmakers had campaigned alongside Wada in past elections, believing him to be a loyal member of the LDP's conservative wing. To see him take the stage with representatives of another party during an election that pitted him against an LDP-backed incumbent came as a shock. And yet, not everyone condemned him outright. Some quietly acknowledged that Wada's boldness had exposed cracks within the local political structure. Those cracks, they said, reflected a deeper dissatisfaction with how local politics has been managed in recent years. Behind the scenes, discussions about disciplinary action began to take shape. Some members suggested suspension of party rights. Others hinted that expulsion might be inevitable if Wada refused to apologize or voluntarily step down. For now, the prefectural leadership is said to be carefully considering its next move. Onodera himself has been measured in his words, emphasizing that the decision will be based on the party's rules and the need to maintain unity ahead of national elections. Meanwhile, Wada's supporters remain defiant. They argue that the former lawmaker has only done what any politician should, listen to the voices of ordinary people. They point out that his collaboration with Sanseido wasn't about ideology but about building new bridges in local governance. Politics should not be about lines drawn on paper, one of his campaign aides said, it should be about serving the people who live here. But within the LDP, such arguments have not found much sympathy. The ruling party prides itself on internal discipline. Members are expected to follow collective decisions, especially in major elections. To many, Wada's independence was less about innovation and more about rebellion. The mood among senior members has grown grim. If the Prefectural Federation decides to move forward with sanctions, it could mark a turning point in Wada's political career, and perhaps even redefine the balance of power within Miyagi's conservative circles. Nationally, the issue has drawn quiet attention from party headquarters in Tokyo. While no formal statement has been released, insiders say that senior officials are monitoring the situation closely. They understand that whatever happens in Miyagi could set a precedent for how the LDP handles internal dissent in other prefectures. After all, local-level splits have a way of echoing into national politics, especially when new movements like Sansito are eager to capitalize on voter frustration. Observers note that this episode underscores the changing landscape of Japanese politics. Once, the LDP's dominance in regional politics was unshakable. But in recent years, new political forces, small parties, citizen movements, and independent candidates have begun to challenge that structure from the ground up. Wada's cooperation with Sansito may have been controversial, but it also reflected a new political reality. Voters are increasingly open to alternatives. Still, the question now is how far the LDP will go in responding. Some fear that harsh punishment might backfire, portraying the party as intolerant of internal diversity. Others insist that leniency would send the wrong signal, encouraging more members to defy local leadership in future races. For now, the Prefectural Federation remains divided on strategy. But what unites them is the understanding that this issue cannot simply be ignored. As the debate continues, Wada himself has remained largely silent. He has not released a formal statement following the reports of possible disciplinary action. Those close to him describe his mood as calm but resolute. He knew there would be consequences, one associate said. But he also believes that history will judge his choice differently. That sense of conviction has defined much of Wada's political career. Known for his outspoken nature and deep knowledge of policy, he has often been willing to take unpopular stances. Even during his tenure in the upper house, he was regarded as a maverick within the LDP, someone who valued ideas over hierarchy. That spirit has earned him both respect and criticism, in equal measure. What happens next could determine whether that independence becomes a liability or a legacy. If expelled, Wada could choose to join Sansito formally or continue as an independent conservative voice. Either path would reshape his political identity and possibly influence others who feel constrained within the existing party system. Some political analysts say that this confrontation might mark the beginning of a new phase in Japanese regional politics, one defined by fluid alliances rather than rigid party loyalty. In Miyagi itself, voters are watching closely. For many residents, the election felt personal, a reflection of their hopes for a different kind of politics. The turnout was modest, but the passion on both sides was real. Local newspapers have described the contest as a referendum on continuity versus change. Murai represented stability and experience, Wada embodied disruption and possibility. Even after the votes were counted, that tension hasn't faded. The prefectural government moves on with Murai at the helm, yet beneath the surface, questions linger about what kind of future Miyagi wants. And at the center of that question stands Masamune Wada, a man caught between loyalty and conviction, between the past and what might come next. As for the LDP, its response in the coming weeks will speak volumes. How it handles this situation may define how much flexibility the party allows its members to have in an era of shifting public opinion. A harsh punishment could reaffirm discipline but risk alienating reform-minded supporters. A softer approach might preserve dialogue but blur the lines of party unity. Whatever the outcome, the Miyagi election of 2025 will be remembered as more than just another local race. It has exposed the delicate balance between principle and pragmatism in Japan's ruling party, and has reminded everyone that even within the most powerful institutions, dissent can still ignite a debate that refuses to fade quietly. And as the discussions continue, one truth becomes increasingly clear. Japanese politics is entering a new chapter, one where old rules are questioned, alliances shift, and figures like Masamune Wada challenge the very boundaries of political belonging. Whether history sees him as a defector or a visionary may depend not on the